Hi, I'm Dr. Margot Rollman, and I really want to share with you some of the things that I've learned over the past 45 years of practice on how to bring a healthier puppy up in its lifetime and in the future for itself. So we really want to do the best we can so these puppies stay healthy and we're able to protect them from things that we normally thought we had to be over-medicating and over-vaccinating for. So I really want to go over that because this is where our introduction to our holistic puppy visit is, and I'm trying to share this so that you can get as much knowledge and play it over again if you need to. So who are we? MASH is a veterinary clinic that started in 1983, and we have been bringing integrative modalities to the veterinary profession for many, many years. As a leader in integrative medicine, I have been able to lecture nationally and internationally on an array of topics, which also included holistic raising of puppies, and I happen to have standard poodles, but how do you raise them in a way to keep them healthy? And since over 52% of dogs are getting cancer and autoimmune disease is off the charts, how do we keep these animals from causing severe pain, discomfort, and cost to the owner? And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to get them to stay healthy, prevent things from happening, and make them the best pets ever. Hi, this is the mission of our practice and of this clinic and building is to have a pleasant, positive, comfortable place for animals and their caretakers to explore all aspects of good health and preventative medicine, to encourage both the client and the pet to seek alternative, integrative ways to prevent diseases, to try to make this type of medicine the vision for all medicine. So that has really been my hope, is that whatever you learn through this puppy or cat or new animal that you have in your practice, you can add to your health and make sure that the whole family is on that same path of preventative care and good nutrition. So a little bit about myself is I've been a veterinarian since 1978, and I graduated Tuskegee. I did my externship at Animal Medical Center, my internship at Angel Memorial, and a fellowship at Harvard in pathology. I went on to teach 8 years at Tufts University and then started my own practice during that time. In 1983, we opened up MASH as a mobile unit, and then I got a building and I started adding a lot of integrative modalities in the early 90s. So we built a whole new center. So we started to build all these different sections so that we could have other modalities in the practice. So I'm excited that we've been initiated one of the first integrative practices in the world, and I am very proud to say that in 2021, I was honored by the American Holistic Veterinary Medical Association as Holistic Practitioner of the Year. And so I'm really pleased that my peers have honored me, and I'm hoping that I can share as much of my knowledge with you as you get your new pet in your house or somebody who you're bringing to us for the first time, that you understand what we're trying to achieve. The fact that I lecture, I also learn a lot, and I go to human conferences as well. And since I'm trained as a human homeopath, I also try to see what I can do to bring total health to the family unit. And by doing that, I'm really just helping the animal, but if the people can see the benefits of this, it will enhance their health too as well. So the animal is our teacher, the dog or the cat or whatever pet, but those are the two that I mainly care for. When you learn about how you can care for them, hopefully you can do a better job taking care of the rest of your family. Our staff is here to help you. We've tried to give them the tools to help you know a little bit about more of the modalities that we use. So this is an area where the staff may be able to assist you in certain decisions of things you're doing, but as the main practitioner in the practice, we bounce ideas around, and I'd love to be able to enhance your knowledge and information. We're really trying to have the animals use its own innate ability to heal and the body's own desire to be healthy to keep these animals healthy, instead of keep giving them drugs, giving them antibiotics and NSAIDs and pesticides and herbicides and all these things that are the standard of care, including all these vaccines, we don't need to do those things. Since 1993, I have been titering animals for distemper and parvo. I have titered thousands of animals, okay? We have never had a vaccinal break since 1993. And my own personal puppies, which I'm going to show you a few of them now, that will get their first vaccine, but they're going to be like 12 or 13 weeks with a first plain parvo, first plain distemper. So many animals come with so many vaccines, and the protocol to give them a series of vaccines where some of them are getting like 40 vaccines by the time they're 3 is ridiculous. And so I really want to empower you as a new client to ask questions about your vaccine schedules with your other veterinarians. Do your due diligence, watch videos about vaccines, understand why we're giving them to establish an antibody level. And once we can establish that, we should be able to tap off of that with antibody titers. And that's one of the things that we do, a lot of titers for distemper and parvo, panleukopenia for the cats. And then if the animal gets a rabies vaccine and has any reaction or has any medical issue, the vaccine insert says we must only give these vaccines to healthy animals. So we are very, outspoken about giving it only to a healthy animal. And those that don't have the health should definitely be titered and have an exemption if they're ill with cancer, autoimmune disease, or some other sickness that they have. So I want to also cover what our vaccine schedule is for a puppy, let's say, that has had already a series of vaccines. If they're under 8 weeks and they've had a first vaccine and have come to us, we can titer them after 6 weeks from that vaccine and get an antibody titer and see if they're holding. They may not hold because only about 30% will hold. If they've had a vaccine after like 12 weeks, often they'll hold pretty strongly. But if they've been bombarded with multiple vaccines, I think it confuses the immune system. Like, well, where do you want me to respond to? And so that's why it's really important to know that titering is a real option. And I have to say, if I've been doing this since 93 and we have not had any vaccinal breaks, and I have friends that have been doing it for that amount of time too and have never had vaccinal breaks, to say that they're going to die from parvo and distemper if they don't get this series of vaccines is not true. So we also use homeopathy post-vaccine to help balance out the vaccine. So I'm not against vaccines. I think we need vaccines. We do not need to over-vaccinate. We want to protect the animal. We want to protect the public, but we do not want to hurt the animal by just giving them another vaccine over and over again. If the immune system knows how to navigate it because they have antibodies, giving them another vaccine actually can cause autoimmune disease. That was what was told to me in 1974 when I got my rabies vaccine. They said, get a vaccine, get titered every other year. When and only when your vaccine titer drops, get a booster. If you don't, you're going to get autoimmune disease. That's since 1974. So I have only had the vaccines that I was given in 1974, and every other year I've been titered till the present, which is now we're 2021, and I still have antibodies. So what is that about? Should I have gotten a vaccine every 3 years just because? Just because? No, I want to find out if I really need it. So we do single dosing of vaccines. We don't do combo wombos with a bunch of vaccines all at the same time. We want the immune system to have a good cellular memory and immune response. So giving them so many things and jumbling all over, I don't want to do that. That I think is harmful to the animal's immune system. That is an individual thing we'll go over with each one of your pets to know where they stand and what we're going to do with those vaccines. Our protocol for my own puppies would be to give them one distemper, one parvo, and then about 6 weeks from the first one to check the antibody levels for the vaccines. So we want to check those levels and make sure that they're responsive. If they don't have a response, they could be a non-responder. And that is something that we need to talk about to everybody. If you don't respond to the vaccine, then giving more and more vaccines and you don't respond is not doing anything. So you want to make sure that if you give a vaccine and it does respond, that you are monitoring that response. Rabies is a state law, and we have to get the rabies vaccine into every animal and establish antibodies. So that is something that I'm very, very involved in talking about. We're trying to change the laws in Arizona and several other states to try to honor the titers, because a vaccine only has to be 86% effective to get licensure. So that means 14% of the animals that could have got rabies vaccines could be walking around totally unprotected. And we should have the scientific knowledge to know where each pet stands. And that's why the antibody titer that we run from Kansas State is the gold standard to figure out why, and how much antibodies those dogs have generated or those cats have generated. So we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the animal and helping them stay healthy from preventable diseases, but not over vaccinating them for diseases that are totally supportive and treated with holistic care and do not need to have intervention. And that's we'll go over in detail later. So about covering food. Food is the whole growth of your dog and your cat and their gut and their microbiome. Most animal dog food is full of Roundup and glyphosate. It's genetically modified. It is not healthy. So feeding organic, raw, fresh food is the way that I feed my dogs, and I've done that for 27 years. My personal puppies, which I'm going to get one of them right now to show you. This is one of my puppies. Oh, they're all sleeping right now. So this was Chia, now her name is Betty. And she is a 6th generation holistically raised standard poodle on organic food, never has had antibiotics. Her grandmother, great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother. So I have protected her immune system by not over-vaccinating, over-antibiotic, steroids. They've all been naturally birthed, and that's a very big thing, to be able to have the mother's antibodies given to the babies during the transition of, not transition, but the birth. So by having them get that natural immunity from their mother, it's starting them in the best scaffolding for their microbiome. Now we have videos on microbiome. We have a whole website, Microbiome Restorative Therapy, that we have research articles, and that is my baby too as well, is the Microbiome Restorative Therapy. We created that in 2012 to start doing fecal transplants and developing a fecal bank. And these are the new fecal donors for the United States and the world. We were rated #1 gold standard for microbiome for dogs. So in the world. So this is one of our poopers. Right? Are you a pooper? I'm gonna put her down. She was sleeping. They went out and they were hiking today, so they're tired out. So what we feed, and these dogs are my 3rd generation plant-based dogs. Having raw, organic, fresh food is how I make my own food, and it takes a long time. I'm hoping there will be people out there that'll say, we need to find ways of putting a fresh, organic food on the table for animals in real time, because it is a lot of work. And anyone who wants to start doing that, I applaud you. Please, 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 please do it. We are trying to balance out the amount of protein, the amount of fiber, the amount of fresh vegetables and fruits that these animals get. And there are other slideshows and things that I'm going to be putting together showing what we feed our pets, or my dogs. So knowing what we're doing, I want to tell you a little bit about why I want to introduce to my clients the reasons and rationale for a plant-based diet. To raise one 70-pound dog, okay, for 11 years. So if you're coming in with a puppy that is 4 pounds now, 8 pounds, or 10 pounds, and it's going to get up to 70 pounds, but if it gets up to 40 pounds or 30 pounds, you can just see the percentage of what you're going to be using. But one 70-pound dog for 11 years what is its effect on our earth for their meat portion only, whether it be raw meat or canned or dry food or whatever. What is the impact on our earth? It's 8 million gallons of water, 180 tons of grain, 365,000 miles worth of petroleum, 5.5 acres of rainforest that has to be, or some kind of forest that has to be cut down to put genetically modifying corn, soy, and wheat to feed the chickens, the pigs, all of the stuff that we are using to feed these animals, okay? The tons of feces, methane, CO2 that is produced by the cows and the pigs and the chickens and the fish and all the things that we are producing, that there's tons of it. But the worst part, as a compassionate, caring veterinarian, that I'm going to tell that client with that puppy that's going to be 70 pounds to kill 8,125 animals for that dog. It's not fair, it's not sustainable, it's completely against climate change, and there's absolutely no compassion to it. So we have to make that transition. As someone who has educated veterinarians and owners for 35 years how to use a raw meat diet, I have now changed in the last 3 generations of my dogs. So for over 7.5 years, when people said you can't raise your dog on mostly plant, my dogs had 7 healthy puppies on a plant-based diet. But it's not 100%, there's like a small percentage of meat to get the right amino acids and stuff that we need. So I want as many people thinking about this, sharing this concept of how do we be compassionate and help these animals stay healthy. In giving your animals food, you want to avoid herbicides, chlorine, fluoride, any genetically modified materials that could be filled with Roundup, which is glyphosate. Glyphosate is so ubiquitous, it is absolutely invading our entire food chain. Glyphosate has a patent, which is Roundup, as an antibiotic for your intestinal tract. As a veterinarian who has been so concerned about protecting the microbiome, feeding your animal an antibiotic-laden food every day cannot be good for your microbiome. In a normal human being, there are 100 trillion microbes that support our immune system. How many of them are getting damaged every day by glyphosate, by chlorine, by fluoride, by alcohol, by NSAIDs, by pesticides, by herbicides, by fabric protectors? Using natural things in your home and natural products so that you're not putting all these chemicals on the carpets and the floors could really make a difference in how your animal's immune system is. In the normal mouth of a human, there are 100 trillion microbes in the whole body. There's 1 trillion microbes in the mouth. How many of those get damaged when the dog is chewing on a plastic bone covered with something, or chewing on something that has fabric protector? I mean, it's not healthy. So, having different drugs in the system can really knock out the microbiome. So if your puppy has been already on metronidazole, has been dewormed multiple times, or has been on antibiotics, it may have completely destroyed its microbiome that it could have gotten from its mother. So, or if it's been born by C-section, so it may not even gotten the normal flora from the mother. So we are now introducing the microbiome from the beginning from my healthy puppies. So we have been freezing and saving all of my puppy's microbiome, plus we have a whole fecal bank for the mother, the grandmother, the great-grandmother. We've got, all this storage that we're keeping to try to share that with other animals around the country. So when you come to our practice, we are hopefully going to inoculate your puppy with a diverse microbiome. There are testing that we can do through Animal Biome is one of them. That is great, and we can find out where your dog is deficient and if it has a diverse microbiome. And if 80% of your immune system comes from your gut, what's the first thing anyone should start with? Is establishing a healthy microbiome and a healthy gut, and let the animal build off of nature and natural than just to keep giving it more antibiotics and drugs. So flea and tick, and you all want to know what to use. I have never used any topical flea and tick products. I have never used any pesticides on my dogs. Everyone is going to get ticks. That's just, if you live in New England, pretty much all over the country, to start bombarding your lawns and bombarding your dogs and putting all the pesticides on your lawns is killing your dog, killing you. It's causing lack of diversity in the soil. It is just not healthy. Doing things that are natural, that will repel it, shaving your dog down short, so that I have little black poodles, so we're going to cut them short during the tick season so that we can find the ticks. Using that, we use raw amber. This Amber Stone Pets is one. We use all these different products at our clinic that are natural flower essences, and they're repellents, but they're not pesticides. And I have refused to sell them in my practice for my entire career. I just do not want to have myself on a class action suit when it causes cancer or something. So we need to be protecting ourselves and protecting our environment and protecting our dogs. And if you have a specific question about that, our staff can help you navigate that specifically. One of the things that we're talking about is spaying and neutering. Science is now showing that animals that are spayed and neutered have a much higher incidence of cancer, over 25% higher. So the early spay and neutering, the just spaying, because you have to by so many months old, needs to change. But we need responsible people. We can't have overpopulation. We can't have dogs at 6 months getting pregnant and having puppies in their 6 months and having overpopulation and dogs being just euthanized. We need people to be intelligent about birth control. We recommend the ovary sparing spay, which is doing just a hysterectomy, not an ovarian hysterectomy. And I like to wait till they've gone through 2 full heats so that we can see whether or not their heat cycles are normal. So some animals don't have normal heat cycles. They go through pseudo-pregnancy or fake pregnancies or have cystic ovaries, so we want to make sure that they have a normal cycle before we do this procedure. And then the males, we can do vasectomies, so they can't be fertile, but they will retain their hormonal balances in their body, which, people say, well, that, dogs that are neutered are more aggressive. That has been shown to be false. So there's a lot of information that you can read about. If you put in ovary sparing spays or protecting the hormonal system of the dog, you can find a lot of information about helping to prevent cancer. And that's the elephant in the room. That's the gorilla in our practice. Is we have so much cancer and everybody's running around giving these vaccines over and over again, trying to prevent these things. I stopped giving those vaccines in 1993 and I haven't seen any of those diseases. So the cancer is the one that's popping you in the nose and you're saying, okay, let's give it a distemper shot again. Stop. You need to be smart about how you prevent things. So, we want to help support you as an owner of a puppy in our practice with all different types of alternative tools. So if you have an issue, you have a homeopathic first aid kit, you know how to use some functional nutrition, you know how to use possibly some ozone therapy. I love my clients to have ozone generators. It has saved so many animals' lives, as well as saved owners a lot of money doing it as a preventative. So having things in the house that you can use so that you can be stepping up right away and doing something. If your animal gets a bee sting, we have a first aid kit. It has Apis in it, which is bee venom in a homeopathic. So instead of rushing to an emergency clinic, you try that first. And if it doesn't respond, you then move on to the thing. Arnica in the kit helps with pain. Roost Tox for itchiness and stiffness. Ledum is for the tick bites and for being punched in the eye. So, and then we've got in our Arsenicums for diarrhea. And so all these little things that we're going to give you in our practice as part of our holistic involvement is going to be empowering to try to help you learn as much as you can about how to take care of your new puppy or your new kitten. So we want you to watch this again and make sure you have all this part down. When you come for your appointment, we're going to be showing you a little bit more. We're going to go specifically about your dog or cat or your new puppy or kitten. And we want to make sure that all this stuff is in your head to be able to be the empowered client or the empowered caretaker of that pet, so that we don't need to see you very often, that you have the tools to take care of your animal in a safe and effective way. So thank you very much for choosing MASH. We're hoping that we can give you more and more information so that you can be sailing through puppyhood and into adulthood and into geriatrics, and you don't really need us that often because we're keeping these animals healthy. Thank you very much. So for more information about our practice, you can look at www.mashvet.com. Our phone number is 508-435-4077. We have a lot of videos that are up on our website. We're trying to give you as much information about the modalities that we do. We are trying to be as supportive for those ideas so that you don't have any, you understand why we're choosing these things for your pet. So please go to our websites, the MASH Vet and the Microbiome Restorative Therapy.com, which is MBRT, and it's connected to the MASH Vet.com, the website. And we would love for you to learn as much as you can coming into your appointment, having questions that are not just, what does acupuncture do, and what does homeopathy do, and what does ozone do, and we want to have you lifted to this part so that the time that we spend is very, very efficient, and you can gain a lot of information at much bigger increments. So I want to just make sure that you understand those pieces and that we can work together as a team and give your pet the longest life that we can, and hopefully prevent cancer and autoimmune disease. So thank you very much.